Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Restorations and Repairs. Today I'm going to install this. This is an ATOTO V10, Android Auto, CarPlay, all that stuff, touchscreen radio. And I'm putting that thing in my ancient 26-year-old 2000 model Toyota Tundra. Now it did come with a bunch of cameras, backup cameras, in-dash camera, a bunch of cameras that I didn't really want or need, but they did come with it. So if you want to install 4 or 5 cameras in your car, you're certainly welcome to. I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video. I do have the backup camera out, and I don't think I'm going to install that because I'm Generation X. You just turn around and look behind you and when you back up. But anyway, we're going to install this today. Now, my car already has an aftermarket stereo in it, a much older unit, so I don't need to buy the kit. There's a wiring kit from Metra and a dash bezel kit that we'll show you the part numbers. I'll leave those in the description. But for us, we're just going to be installing this and, some wiring work and probably some minor trimming to get this thing to fit in there right. But hopefully it is going to be worth it when we're all done. It does come with, good Lord, does it ever come with some parts. Lots of blue screen protectors. There's our faceplate. Yeah, there's a lot to this, but if I can get to it, there it is. There's the main radio. It's amazing. Technology-wise, that radio is 2 inches deep. Obviously, no CD player included in this one, but the rest of it is all there. Now, the reason I picked this, if I can get this thing out of the plastic it's in, this is important to me. Touchscreens, I don't like them. Don't particularly care for it as a general rule, but the reason I picked this one is the main buttons that we're going to have, track forward, track back, volume up, volume down, they do have actual buttons for those, and I do appreciate that. Also has USB-C and a micro SD card plug in there, built-in mic right there, and the rest of the functions are touchscreen. On the back here, conventional radio hookup, a buttload, if I may use that phrase, of plugs for the various cameras and whatnot, our regular radio hookups, and an HDMI. That's interesting. Audio digital out and regular audio coaxial out there, plus some other stuff for GPS and for Wi-Fi. All right, now not all this I'm going to show you hooking up because honestly, what's the point of that? But we're going to hook this up as a normal radio would be hooked up, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's do it. Okay, it's worth noting that while we have our radio and our bezel and our brackets, and it does have some protective screening, there's a lot of stuff here that I won't be using because mine doesn't need it. USB recording, if I want to record everything that's going on inside the car, maybe you're an Uber driver or something like that, I don't know, taxi cab driver, you could use that. If you want to have some mega subwoofer set up, it's got all the connections for that. Let's see here. Oh, that one no, wait, that's a different one. Let's see what this one is. This is the 4G SIM card. So if you want to have a wireless data plan, yep, you could have that. And this is CAN bus stuff here, right? So some of this backup camera, but we have Wi-Fi antenna and KTV receiver box, extension cable, Bluetooth, and a whole bunch of stuff, UHF. So there's a lot there that I also will not be needing. Now, kit come with a quick guide and warranty guide, and it also came with eSIM card with 100 megabytes of data and 10 gigabytes of data. Now, what I will be using, USB, it's got some, so I can plug in USB sticks and listen to music off of that. It does have a GPS antenna and a Wi-Fi antenna. And then it does have the standard wiring here. That also includes a 3.5 jack, so if you still have something you want to plug in old school, you can do that as well. Now here's the backup camera that it comes with. I won't be installing this today, but I'll probably plug the wiring in for it. Just a standard 1080p plug-in camera with a nice long extension. And the reason I'm not installing that today is I don't have room to put it on a lift today. I've got cars on my lift, so this is going to have to go underneath the vehicle, and I just don't have the ability to do that today. So we'll leave that out for right now. But there we go. There we go. First thing we're going to have to do, obviously, is remove the old radio. So let's go outside and get it done. Okay, so very first step, you just got to pull these off. And then behind that, you've got 3 Phillips head screws. And we're going to use a Phillips head here. Pull those out, set those aside. there it goes. And we're just going to lay that off to the side there. And that exposes the entire radio. Oops. And what we're left with, here's our climate control. We'll just leave that be. Here is our setup. Here, our existing radio. And again, aftermarket radio. So it's already might look a little different than yours, but it shouldn't look too different. Now that is removed by removing 10 mil here and here. And then we just pull that forward, and we're going to unhook a few things here. So here's our metric kit. Wow, somebody really did a nice job there. It's a shame I got to cut all that. But we're going to unhook this. This is the factory side over here. And so you kind of squeeze on those and wiggle them loose. There we go. And we'll do the same with this one. And then we do have, well, that had an audio system, but there is our antenna. So that is all the radio, this radio anyway, is going to come with from the factory. God, I miss these days. Wow, such a difference between modern radios. All right, so this part here, there's the metric kit. Again, I'll leave a part number kit where you can get that. I'm going to go ahead and snip all these off inside the shop, and we'll adapt that to this harness. And these colors, all these numbers here, these are all going to be the same. Like when you hook this up, it'll be very similar to this type of radio right here. There shouldn't be a whole lot of difference there. So let us go ahead. I'm not going to show you, cutting and pasting, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I recommend using little crimps, crimp tool, and getting butt connectors and doing it that way. Just winding them together and taping them up is likely to cause you problems going down the road. All right, let's do it. Okay, so I've got everything wired up, as you can see, and I'm going to tape all this together here, but got all that set up. Also installed the bracket so I can install the kit. And that's all there is to it. We're ready to go back out to the car and get it put back in. Let's go. All right, well, here we are back in the car, and what we're going to do now is hook this thing back up. And I haven't taped these off yet. I want to make sure that everything is working first, but thankfully these only plug in one way, so no worries there. And we'll go ahead and figure out. The only other hookup I'm going to need to use here is we have this one here, which is rear camera plus. And so that's going to go here to the rear camera power. But I'm not going to hook that up right now. We're just going to go ahead and plug this in and see if she will power up. Oh, I got it in a tough spot there. Looks like once I get that plugged in, which I just did, it's pretty much stuck with it because there's no way to get it back out without taking apart that side. All right, and we'll just lay that in there temporarily. And let's turn the key on and see what happens. She's firing up. Ooh, got some fancy LED lighting over there on the side, looks like. Nice. Cool. Well, I don't have the GPS or anything else hooked up, but everything is powered up. And yeah, we're looking good here. So it is an Android system. Obviously, you can use this thing with a SIM card and not even have a phone hooked up to it. But for me, I want to use this as something where we got our phones hooked up to it, and it just puts, YouTube music and the maps and stuff like that on there. But it also has CarPlay as well. All right, so that's working. So now I can go ahead, hook the other stuff up, and we'll get that bezel back into place, and we'll go through all the features and functions of this radio. Right, with all the wires hooked back up, we're already on the return trip here. So I'm just going to screw this back into place. There we go. Okay. And we'll put our screws back in this thing. That's awesome. That didn't take any time at all, really. All right, cool. Well, let me button this up, and then I'm going to show you how this beautiful thing works. Okay, my friends, let's go ahead and turn this thing on. And there we go. Don't care about that. All right, so check it out. When you load this thing up, the first screen you're going to see is this. This is their home screen. But you can see, boom, right there is Android Auto. We have our GPS. If you want to use your SIM card, it's automatically going to fire off, right? But I'm not using a SIM card with this, and so that's got that going on. But let's get into settings here. I'll show you some of the stuff we have here. Hotspot, tethering, SIM card, internet. We can learn about the advice, what apps are in it, notifications, how much storage. Let's see what kind of storage this thing has. Holy crap. Okay, 128 gigabytes of storage on board. That is pretty awesome. So you could store a bunch of media files on this thing without having to have USB hooked up to it. All right, so display, we have our brightness, and we also have this set up to dimmer. See if that's working properly. Well, I think the car has to be, oh, the lights have to be on. There we go. Okay, yeah, so the lights automatically dimmed when I turn the lights on. And I don't know if how well that shows up. Yeah, it shows up. All right, so that's cool. All right, we have a driver video warning. You know, man, don't be doing that. These radios now, they'll play a video. You can watch YouTube on them, but only do so when you're parked somewhere. You don't want to be doing that stuff just cruising down the road. Font size, you know what? I'm going to make that a little bigger because I want that. Yeah, let's make that max because we're driving down the road. I want to be able to see that stuff. Yeah, that's nice. All right. Screensavers, display, regulate, adjust the spacing at the top of the screen. So if your bezel covers over part of the screen, you can change that if you wanted to. We'll get out of that. Sounds, default volumes, Bluetooth volume. So all this stuff is adjustable. We're going to get rid of the beep. Yeah. All right. Navigation settings. Whitelist, I'm not sure what that is. And then date and time. Let's go back to home. Okay. We have a mixer. This is cool. So let's change that a little bit. If I can get my fingers on there. Right. So I want to change where the speakers are a little louder, a little worse, you know. And then if I can get that in there, why won't that move? There we go. We'll hit it with rock, and you can see it's changed the mixer for that. And of course, you can adjust all that stuff. You also have user set up, so you can do that as well, where you choose your own EQ. And I probably will. I have terrible hearing. If you ever followed my channel before this, I have bad hearing, so I don't really hear the highs and the lows. But sometimes if I adjust this stuff, it makes it sound a little bit better for me. All right, we'll get out of that. That's back into standard. And there's volume pause, right? We have go right to maps. We're not going to do that. And then we have our home button. So bring us back to home. I love the fact that it has actual buttons for that. You know what I mean?
The damage from
all right, over here on the FM side.
And brought 35-foot surf floods on Guam. More than 1,000 people still are new. The super out power across much of the U.S.
Nice.
Support for NP. Support for NPR. By 44 points over Tyler Reddick. NASCAR heads to Echo. And this prayer and depend.
Pretty cool. So I'd say FM, and again, I got to be careful with FM, but coming in nicely as well. Let's get out of that. The last thing I want to do here, I guess, is I want to play music directly. Now we have Bluetooth or CarPlay. That's the one way, but I want to play it off of the local USB stick that I've got here. So let me get into that here, and that'll wrap up this video. So go ahead and hit music. Let's see if it recognizes it. Well, it sure did. Awesome. Now, I got to be careful. Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, let me turn that off so we don't get a copyright. All right, all right, for us here, Android Auto, let's do that. So we're going to click on that. I'm going to connect it. And if I can, let's see how hard it is to connect. Now we're going to have, well, my location's off here, but you can see we have our music. And let's see the music. Let's go. We're going to split the screen in half. Press to open. Let's get YouTube music fired up here. And off, yeah, we'll do an offline. I don't know what that is, but let's do it and let's see what it sounds like. Right? I can't play hardly any music on YouTube, unfortunately, or on, I'll get a copyright strike, but volume up and down here, home button, GPS, and then mute/power button, USB-C, and an SD micro card right there. And I believe that's a microphone, teeny little hole right there. Or that might be reset, I'm not sure. Oh, there's the mic, I'm sorry. We got 2 microphones here, so we should be able to hear pretty good. And that's nice. And then, like I said, there's your reset. All right, let's get out of this for a sec. And let's see something here. I don't know if it'll work. Play YouTube music. Yeah, so I don't have internet service or Wi-Fi service here at the house, so we're not able to play with that. But it obviously is working pretty well. All right, let's see here. We're going to go back to home. And we'll turn that down. And you can see here's my, I got to turn that all the way down. I'm sorry. Here's my Android Auto stuff here that you can mess with. Calendar, YouTube music, blah, blah, blah. I like it. This thing's pretty easy to go with. How about liked music? No, I don't know what she's listening to. I was hoping there'd be something in here that might be copyright free. Doesn't look like it. There we go. There's some 40s jazz. That's probably okay. Yeah, there we go. There's something we can actually listen to. Pretty awesome. All right, well, I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed that. I mean, installation on an old car like this is so much easier. If you go back through the archive, I've got one on my 2010 Sienna. While some people may call that car old, it was pretty top tier. And so it had CAN bus and it had steering wheel controls and all that. Of course, these old cars, the simplicity is gorgeous. One last thing to note, and I'm going to back the camera out or I'll look at it here. There's the connectors. Like you can see, I've got a USB stick hooked up to it to listen to onboard music, and there's a spare there as well. So you can have tons of music there if you want it, which I think is pretty cool as well. Yeah, really nice. Really love it. It's the ATOTO A10, and I'll leave a link to where you can get one. Till next time, my friends, take care.